Thank you again. Official call to order. Roll call. Councilor London.
Present.
Councilor Spivey.
Present.
Councilor Bearden. And myself present. Thank you. And now, Councilor Bearden, you wanted to do the minutes tonight because you had some.
Yes, and you know
Thank you.
what, I forgot to pull them up before we got started.
I've got it right here too.
Yeah, but I got them marked. All right, make a motion that we approve the minutes for February, 20, for February the 20th with the following changes. Now, and I guess, James, I need to get with you on this, where it says approval of the minutes. After council member, you need to put a period and then add another council member in front of Bearden to make it come out right. It should, if you've got a regular council meeting or distributed to each council member Bearden. Each council member period and then council member Bearden. Get that. The next one is under new business, item number 1, I think. Let's see here. It was where we suspended the rules for immediate consideration. Ordinance 28, the last sentence in there, James, right before it, you've got for the said resolution. That should say for the said ordinance. And you need to put the ordinance number in there. You've got ordinance number 2018-03 should be inserted in there. You've got ordinance -03. You see that?
I see.
Okay, and then where you got resolution instead of ordinance. All right, and there's one more. On item number 6, it's the same thing. You got resolution instead of ordinance there at the end, or we're suspending the
For number 6.
number 6, yes.
Okay.
You got that?
Yes.
All right, and with those changes, I submit that the minutes be amended and accepted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Second. You had one abstention because it wasn't present. Thank you. Councilor Spivey on the bills, please.
Sure, I make a motion for the approval of current bills for payment in the amount of $101,719.63.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Do we have any professional or consultant reports tonight? All right, thank you. Mayor?
I don't have a lengthy report. I welcome all of you to the city council meeting tonight. It's good to see each of you here. We do have one special guest with us that we want to introduce, Mr. Bill Veach. If you will, sir, come forward as a candidate for the district attorney in Jefferson County. And I'll let you address the council for a minute. If you like.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Moore and President Moreno, council. Thank y'all for letting me be here. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bill Beach. I am a candidate for district attorney. We have a Republican primary on June the 5th, and I need your help and support. Let me tell you why I think that I'm the man for the job and the man you would want to be there. I'm a former Birmingham police officer, so I know the police. I'm a former district attorney in the Bessemer Division of Jefferson County, and I worked 18 years in the prosecutor's office. Now, that's all well and good, but you know, people talk about experience, but who I am is I'm the person that when Chief Atkinson or other law enforcement people, or Mr. Mayor, Councilman, ladies and gentlemen, when you need me, you won't have to look for me down at the courthouse. I'll show up. I'll be out here. If Irondale has a problem, I'll be out here. And that's my nature. That's what I like to do. I don't like sitting down there and waiting on the police to bring something to me. And there's another issue that you may or may not know, but if you talk to any law enforcement people, they'll tell you. When they go downtown to get a warrant out, it's difficult. It's not any fun. They feel like they're in enemy occupied territory. That's gonna change when I'm the district attorney. But I can't be the district attorney unless you go and vote for me on June the 5th. I have to get out of the primary before I can run in November. And I just appreciate your support. Anything you can do to help me, I appreciate it. But the main thing is I need to get your vote. And I can't thank y'all enough. I know y'all got a lot to do, but thank you for letting me be here to speak. I appreciate it very, very much. So thank you. And I mean what I'm saying. When you got a problem, if you don't call me, that's on you. Because I'll be there to help you, because I like it. It won't be difficult. I'll enjoy it. So thank you again very much.
Mayor, any additional comments?
District Attorney,
I do not see any department heads, so I'm assuming there's no department head reports tonight. I'll just lead off on the council member standing committees or special committee reports. Mr. Stewart said, please remind everybody that if you need an absentee ballot for the upcoming election, that is the tax referendum, they will be available 8 to 5 on Monday through Friday in his office. So if you can get with him, if you do need an absentee ballot for that election. And with that, Councilor Beal.
All right, thank you. The mayor, the council, and several others from the city went to the grand opening for the new Mercedes dealership last week. Coach Nick Saban was there, and we got to listen to him speak, in addition to his partner, Joe Gressy. And on that note, the senior center is going on a tour tomorrow of the new Mercedes dealership. So if you would like to go on that tour, let them know at the senior center. They'll be leaving tomorrow morning at 10:45 for that. And with that, concerning the senior center, my wife Regina, our former Miss Senior Irondale, she has got a few guests with her tonight, and I'm gonna let her introduce them, and they want to speak to you about the Miss Senior Irondale contest and others.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce to you two very special people in my life. I met these two when I was Miss Senior Irondale and went to the Miss Senior Alabama pageant. And I'm honored to introduce to you Jerry Lesueur, who is our chairman of the board for Miss Senior Alabama Incorporated, and our precious, precious little lady here. Her name is Donna McGuffey, and she is Miss Senior Universe from Jefferson County, Alabama. Donna, she's going to speak.
Thank y'all so much for allowing me to come in here tonight. I feel silly in this crowd in this room. But I was told I need to wear it just to show, what we're doing. I am Donna McGuffey. I was Miss Senior Alabama in 2013 and had no ambition to be in another pageant ever in my life. And so it was fun. I enjoyed it. Got what I needed out of that. Bucket list, check off, Never been in a pageant in my life before that. So now they tapped me to be Miss Senior USA from Alabama. So I go and I won that last year in Las Vegas, which led to pageant Miss Senior Universe, which I also won in Las Vegas in November. So little girl from Alabama can do it, 5 feet tall, and all those giant women next to me. So what I'm here for is that I'm the administrator for our Board of directors as well. Jerry is the chairman, I am the administrator for the pageants. And our mission is to honor and exemplify women over the age of 60. It's not all about beauty queen, it's not about the crown, it's not about that. We do charity work, we do community work, we give back. At this age, you know, you don't have to wear a crown to be a queen. So our hope in coming here tonight is that we would like to bring our state pageant to Irondale. We would like to partner with Irondale in all that we do going forward. I have spoken with the drama teacher at Shea Valley High School about the possibility of having the pageant there, which is what we would hope. She didn't tell me no. So we have to talk to Dr. Marsh and hopefully get the approval from the city council to pursue this. And Regina Bearden and Kathy Sanderson both have been so great in having their preliminary pageants in Irondale, and they always do a great job. What we request that, since our board is all volunteer, and we don't have funding from anybody, we get out and beat the streets and raise our money ourselves to hold these pageants and to have these ladies feel special for one day. You know, ladies our age tend to settle into life. We sometimes feel like after you're 60, well, I'm done. Well, you're not. You're not. 60 doesn't look the same as it used to look. You know, get out of your rocking chair, do something you've never done. Go on that stage, wear that pretty dress, and do something creative and wonderful. You know, everybody should sing their own song, you know, write their own music and be their own person. And now's the time to do it. You're not just somebody's wife, somebody's grandmother, somebody's employee. You know, you're your own person. It's time to shine. So that's what we're trying to do with this pageant. So we are expecting 200 to 250 people to attend the pageant, maybe more if we move it here. We've had it in the past in Hansville and Coleman and at the Wallace State. And it's been a beautiful facility, and they've been so gracious to allow us to do it. But it's so far north that our southern counties are hesitant to come this far. You know, it's harder for them to send someone up. So we would like to have this at Shea Valley High School, and what we would like to do is honor the city of Irondale, if we're permitted to do this. We would like to honor the city of Irondale as our sponsor on all of our letterhead, on everything that we do. And we've been pretty visible lately. I co-hosted Talk of Alabama last week, and I'm supposed to go tomorrow, weather permitting, to New York, to the United Nations to represent the women. It's National Women's Day. And so I've been asked to come up there for that. I don't think I'll be going because the weather's so bad. But we're making ourselves known. We're growing. We intend to grow this pageant as well. And of course, those 250 people that are coming to the pageant will be using the services of Irondale. They'll be using their restaurants, their gas stations, whatever is available, you know. And some of the ladies will be staying overnight, so they'll be in hotels. But what we would like to do is get maybe some of the people who have restaurants and what else? Restaurants and florists, yes. To maybe do in-kind donations for some promotions within our pageant. That's all we would request, and we would love to. I don't know if they charge for the Shea Valley Auditorium or the theater, but you know, we would certainly pay, and then we would make a nice contribution as well. So I'm hopeful that y'all will support us in this effort, and we would love to partner with the city of Irondale in this endeavor. And I appreciate y'all letting me talk to you. Thank you.
Councilor Stein.
Thank you. Two things. One, we have an open seat that's up for election on the Irondale CDA. It is the seat that's currently occupied by Aaron Sims. His seat is up. He served a partial term, so we will begin accepting applications for that. So, central point of collection, Steve, what would you recommend for that?
Probably be best if they send it to Mr. Stewart's attention. That way we'll be sure they.
Gotcha. We already have a few resumes already. We received one outside of reopening the process, so we want to formally reopen that process in order to bring in any additional resumes, and we'll get some, we'll probably leave it open for maybe a month or so, and then we will call for some interviews so that we can get that position filled. And then right behind that, in another month or so, another seat will come up as well. So we'll be kind of continuing this CDA process of getting that board filled with people appointed, so we can get that board going. In the meantime, Aaron will keep his seat as we move forward to those elections. Another thing, this is a few months in the making. There was a historical marker put in front of Mount Hebron Missionary Baptist Church over on 2400 2nd Avenue South. And Reverend Dr. Larry Hubbard, the pastor over there, wrote a note to the city and to the council. I just want to read it real quick, it's brief. To whom it may concern, I want to express my sincere appreciation and thanks to the city of Irondale for recognizing Mount Hebron Missionary Baptist Church as the oldest African-American church in Irondale. We are truly humbled and honored to receive this historical landmarker. I would especially like to commend the Mayor Charles Moore, council members, and various agencies that supported this project. I ask that the city of Irondale and the community continue to support us as we build up the kingdom of God. Sincerely yours, Reverend Dr. L.J. Hubbard, Sr. Thank you.
Councilor London.
On that CDA, I got a question.
Yeah.
Did Aaron turn his resume back in? Is he going
He reapplied for the
to
position.
reapply for the position? And then, are we talking about the old resume that we had way before?
Yes, when
Okay, we got
yeah,
some new ones.
we have not received a new one from Aaron, but we did receive a one from Ms. Weber, I believe.
Okay. I don't
So,
know.
yeah, she sent it in maybe a few weeks ago.
That came in unsolicited, so it's,
Yeah, so because we received that outside of opening it up, I felt it was time just to go ahead and open it up.
Well, I can get a copy of that.
Okay.
we'll get copies of all that we receive as they come in.
Okay, cool. Thank you. First of all, good evening to everyone. Hope everybody had a great week. It's awesome so far. Just a couple of things, my report. Mayor, if you don't mind, could you get your inspector to go by 5269 on Goldmore? Actually, it's the house next to 5269. The house next to it doesn't have a box number on it. There's a car dealership going on over there on Goldmore Drive. I'd like to get your inspector to go by. So I think the same one, yeah. That's been going on for a little while. Then also, right across from the senior citizen, I don't know if that used to be a yield sign or something, in the break, there's a metal piece of metal in the ground there, across from the senior citizen. As you go on the road split, you'll see it when you drive by there. So you get I just hate for someone to hit that thing, texting and driving. On Beacon, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I know we have the third thing, I know we have the property tax coming up for vote. Are we gonna have another meeting, talk about that? Because I know we had a meeting before to talk about exactly what that money was gonna go to, but I don't think we had another one to really define exactly what this property tax money is gonna go to.
That would be basically a finance committee if we, go ahead.
Right, I asked a similar question to Steve, and he said that it will be talked about at the Holiday Gardens Neighborhood
We've got
Association.
one coming up for a
Right.
neighborhood, they invited
Okay.
attendance there.
And I've contemplated calling my own town hall as well. You know, obviously you guys can.
Yeah, has the citizen bill been announced? Has that been announced to that meeting, so they can come to that meeting?
I believe the previous meeting, Pat stood up and mentioned the agenda for that neighborhood association meeting covering the tax
Yeah.
specifically.
I just want to make sure everybody knows that that's going to happen, because there are some specific questions that's been asked, exactly where the money is going to go to. And that's the question that's out there in the city. And I don't think that question has been asked or answered from us as council. And I think we need to clear that up before this vote happens.
I do know that the flyer has come out of the garbage bill, the one we had a snippet of,
Yeah,
but I know that's not enough.
No.
I agree with you.
yeah, the question is, where is the money going to go to? That's the question I'm getting. And we haven't had that meeting to discuss that part of it. Because the people wants to know, is it gonna go into the general funds, or it's gonna go to some project, that they want to happen in the city of Irondale. And that's something we need to have a discussion about before April the 10th. And that needs to happen ASAP.
You have a work session coming up in 2 weeks.
We will have a work session on Monday, and we'll have a need to call the finance committee. We can literally do that rather than have an extra meeting.
So we get that announced to the city that we'll be talking about on that work session.
Okay.
Okay, that needs to happen. Okay, thank you.
Pick that up. So
Let me ask,
Thank you, Mr. President.
let me ask a question.
Well,
Well,
let's see if Mr. London, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, go ahead.
David mentioned the CDA applications. Have we determined if Terrence Scott's seat is vacated yet? Is he still qualified? Is he still living in Irondale?
I communicated with Mr. Scott, and he replied to me and did give me an address, and I apologize that I didn't send it to you. I sent it to the mayor and the president, an address that appeared to me to be in Irondale, and you don't know. It appeared to be in Irondale, and it is the address that he stated that he was
Okay,
residing at.
all right, that's good. That was the question we had. We didn't know if he was still living in Irondale. Nobody knew. Thank you. That's good.
Any other questions or discussion on this part? All right. Do we have any reports of boards or non-council committees? Ms. Shoemaker. Yes, ma'am, you may turn on.
Hi, my name is Tellis Shoemaker, and I'm Executive Director of the Irondale Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to invite all of you to our March membership meeting. That's going to be this Thursday from 11:30 until 1 o'clock at Pine Tree Country Club. And our speakers will be Suzanne Boozer and Catherine Boyd, who are with Studio by the Tracks, and how I know that many of you know that Studio by the Tracks has been a part of Irondale for a long time, for over 29 years. They have art classes for adults with autism, and also 2/3 of their classes, and 1/3 children who are emotionally conflicted and living in a group home. And they sell their artwork, and 60% goes to the artists. So this is a great thing, and it's very well known outside of our community. So I hope you'll consider coming. I've also been asked to announce Barbecue for Building. That's going to be this Saturday. It's a fundraiser for Habitat for Humanity. It's $10 per person, 11 o'clock to 2:30 at the Habitat Restore, and free are first responders, military, and kids under 10, and tell us. I'm looking for your response. Yeah, but it's a great event. It's a great barbecue, and you get to help judge it. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, can I make one comment on the guest speaker? If you go back, I watched it Friday night. Absolutely Alabama. Y'all seen that? They did a show on them on Absolutely Alabama. It's fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. Yes, absolutely.
And it's Irondale.
And that's Irondale.
Thank you. Okay. I make a motion that we leave regular council meeting and go into a public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Notice is hereby given that it's regular public meeting beginning at 6:30 p.m. on March 6, 2018 in the city of Irondale. City Council Chambers located at 101 20th Street South, Irondale, Alabama, 35210 within Jefferson County, Alabama. The City Council of the City of Irondale will hear comments from interested citizens concerning the city vacating a portion of Central Avenue located in the southwest on quarter section 3, Township 17, South Range 1, West Jefferson County, Alabama. And I will open it up if there anybody here to make comments in favor of that, please. And I believe you already turned your form in. I know you got it.
Yeah, right here.
All right, thank you.
We're asking for a small portion of Central Avenue to be vacated. I'm representing Mr. Danny Stone with Stone and Sons Electric.
And, this portion of the road was cut off by Interstate 459 when it was built. And it's pretty much non-existent now, it's grown up with vegetation. And he has a small parcel that is across Central Avenue, and this will make all his property whole and make it usable. There's only 2 parcels on this street that he doesn't own. Right now, he owns everything except those 2 parcels. And, this will, I gave you a package, and, the city engineer has looked at the plat that we're submitting for approval, and the preliminary has been approved, and we have got his comments back and addressed his comments, and he didn't have any comments about the vacation of Central Avenue. So that's pretty much it, what we're asking for.
And to clarify, it is that one portion which dead ends, and the properties that are on that do belong to him. When you say there are other properties, that's on the part we're not vacating, correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
It's where he owns both sides of the right of way.
Thank you very much. Do we have any more?
I want to ask a question before you leave. Which other 2 parcels is he on, 11 and 11.1?
Let's see. Does he not own?
That he does own? I know he doesn't own the church, and I know he doesn't own 10,
That's the 2. That's the only 2 he doesn't own.
the church and 10.
Yes, sir.
He owns 11 and 11.1.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak against the release of the property? If not, I make a motion that we leave public hearing and return to regular council meeting. Do I have a second? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now for approval of the agenda. Let's step out here.
Make a motion that the agenda be approved as submitted.
Any other comments? Is that it? Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Now we open up to the public. This is for any questions on agenda items only. If you would be kind enough, please complete the paper in the back of the room. And if you haven't already handed it to the city clerk, please hand it to the city clerk when you come forward, remembering that there is a 3-minute time limit on your comments. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Bob Saunders, 1830 Fifth Avenue South. Talking on the unfinished business, item 1. I talked to you last council meeting, and I'm not going to repeat what I said there, but there are a few things I think the council and the public ought to know. First of all, that we're the only festival that provides 10% of whatever sponsorship money we get in that goes to the Irondale Public Library. It's my understanding they use that for various functions that they have throughout the year. Also, I think there was a question about us making money. Unfortunately, the festival doesn't make money. We typically will have a few $100s left over seed money for the next year, but most of the money goes for the stage, the tents, the bands that we bring in, advertising, and any other miscellaneous money or expenses that we incur. The other thing, probably most important, is we are a 501c3. The officers of the foundation receive no monies, no compensation for all the work they put in. We try and get volunteers to do most of the work, although there are some, especially with the stage, that we sometimes have to hire. But other than that, there's no money that Chris and his wife and myself make from the festival. We do this as volunteer work for the city. Other than that, the fact that the number of people that come every year has increased, and the number of vendors that have increased. We're asking for $7,000. You already know part of it is in-kind services, and the other part is for the insurance. If the insurance comes in a little cheaper, then we won't even expend the full $7,000. We just never know until 30 to 45 days outside of the Davis Festival, which is always the last Saturday in September. And I hope y'all vote for the festival and keep this alive for Irondale. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bob, if any of that 7,000 is not used, you refund that to the city?
Yeah, well, yeah, because the in-kind is basically what you're gonna expend, and I'm sure all of you will know what that amount is.
Yeah.
And then the insurance, we bring to James, so we can bring the bill and then get the money to pay for it. So if it's less than what we're projecting,
You know,
we won't take it.
yeah, just wanted that assurance. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Terry.
I have a question. Hey, so, you say you refund, have you ever refunded any money to the city the last 4 years?
Refunded money? No, we've always spent it.
You spent all, you spent so,
We spent it,
So there's no
and 10%
guarantee.
of the sponsorship goes to the public library.
have we gotten a copy of what they received to the library?
Well, all you have to do is check with the library, they take a picture
No,
and they
no,
get the
that's not,
check.
I think, if we're gonna give you money, I think that should be your responsibility to bring that back to the council, you would think?
Well, no. I
They
don't-
submitted financials, I believe, after the last festival. There was a point that was brought up where it was, I can't remember the dollar amount, but 1,200, 13, 15,
Last year was
16.
1,200.
Okay, yeah, they did bring that up after the
They
festival.
submitted some, I don't remember receiving no financial,
Hey,
ever from the Western Side.
Well, we'll see if I don't still have a copy of it here.
Yeah, some financial.
So I do remember them coming forward and saying, hey, we
So
made.
what did you spend last year, Bob? Sir?
I know
We don't know
we
what we
were
spent last year.
$5,000 down because we had one of the sponsors that pulled out at the last minute.
So we're saying, we're gonna give you 7,000, you don't know what you spent last year?
Total amount?
You
No,
brought
I
us-
don't do that, that's not.
You brought us a
my job.
statement, financial statement last year, John.
I'm asking, he should know what we spent last year, right?
Are you talking about what the resolution was for?
I'm
The
not the
resolution was
financial
for
What
$12,000.
did the Whistle Stop Festival spend last year? Just a question.
I'm looking for it.
I don't think I have a 990 for last year, but I've got 990s for 15 and 16, which you guys all have received a copy of.
So have you ever provided financials to the council?
Yes.
No, we gave you the 990s, that's the financial.
Yes.
Yes.
So what did-
Yes,
No, no,
it
no.
has.
What was it?
1 second. All right, where's it at? Where's it at?
And then why are we buying your insurance?
We've always done that.
We always,
Last year with the 12, the first 6 went towards a good bit of the insurance. They've always taken a first draw of 6 and then a second draw of 6. So their ask is for 12. Well, the ask was for 12, it's been that, but due to the financial position of the city, they're trying to lean out their operations as much as they can, hence the ask for the 7.
Well, let me say this, before they took it over and made it a 501c, the city financed the Whistle Stop Festival completely.
but it's not ours.
We financed it much more than that $7,000 because they go out and get sponsorship plus additional fundraising.
So what sponsor do you have a list of the sponsorship that you went out and got last
All you
year?
have to do is look at the board on the stage, and the main sponsors are listed every year. No, we
You
don't
have a
provide.
total, you have a total dollar amount on that?
No.
I do. I don't for last year, but for 16, I have the 990. Contribution gives grants, 28.9. Some various rents. Total ad lines 1 through 11, 38.3. So that's money that has been raised.
So 38.3?
I believe so. Once again, I'm just looking. I haven't looked at this in a while.
So is that about $7,000?
What are you saying?
So if they raise 7,000 to put on a festival, do they really need 7,000?
Keep in mind, a lot of what we're approving is because of initial expenses. If they can't get, because they don't get money in from vendors until the vendors know there's a festival. So what we're doing right now is basically guaranteeing that there can be a festival so that they can go ahead and allow vendors, which they already have applications for vendors in. Those vendors then submit the applications, and then money's received on the backside. This is just guaranteeing that the festival can happen, so they can start accepting money and start accepting applications.
Do you have any money left over to get it started every year? So you have no money to get the whistle stop started every year?
Typically, we'll have $200 or $300 a season. That's all we get. That's all we have. Everything that we get in between the bands, the stage, the advertising, and all the other accessories, we pay out.
Do we have any more comments on agenda items from anyone in the audience? Please.
Good evening, I'm Darrell Washington, 5008 Monica Drive. Let me just say I'm a proponent of events in Irondale, Spring Fest, Jazz in the Park, and Whistle Stop. But my concern is consistency, considering the current state of the city. I think in a finance committee meeting, there was a mention of items that were normally budgeted, but this year were not. There was a mention of $35,000 for the educational fund that did not get funded. The council's discretionary fund, which gives you an ability to fund neighborhood projects, that was not funded. You did not fund any previous events, but yet you funded $40,000 for the chamber. So I guess my question is how are you determining priority of these unbudgeted items? The chamber has already received $40,000, but yet events like Whistle Stop, Spring Fest, and Jazz in the park has not been funded. So what's your rationale and how you determine what unbudgeted items are funded and what are not?
Short answer, the cycle that the chamber was in at that time, that's why it kind of came up first. And it was decided on by the council. The chamber had done a good job. It was worthy of the funding. In regards to Springfest, Bobby Joe brought that up. It came before the council. It was not voted on. It didn't go through. This is, in transparency, everything has been brought up one at a time. I put this on the agenda, just like any of the other festivals have been put on the agenda. I personally am a proponent of Whistle Stop Festival, just because I recognize the historical significance of it. It's been going on uninterrupted for 27, 28 years. I think it's a staple. It's one of the premier things that the city does. That's why I'm such a proponent of it. But I yield to the decision of the council ultimately on it.
Well, let me add to that. In the past several years, we've funded the chamber in the amount of $50,000 a year, so we've reduced their funding from $50,000 to $40,000.
Yeah, I understand that, but I guess you're making a statement that the chamber supersedes funding for our schools, the chamber supersedes funding for our neighborhoods, and the chamber supersedes funding for events. As far as events are concerned, events are not really done to make money, they're quality of life initiatives. If we don't have events in Irondale, then the citizens of Irondale would have to go elsewhere. So that was just my question.
Let me say, as far as the schools are concerned, up until 2012, I think it was, or 13, there was no city funding for the schools. It was all donated money by the citizens of Irondale and businesses of Irondale. We had some good years, and so we added the amount in the budget for the Youth and Education Committee. But this year is not a good year. It's a lean year, so we've had to take that out of funding, and it still gets funded through donations from the citizens and then businesses where they are available. But that was put in because we were having some good years and we could afford it, but now we can't.
I understand. So just realize that you're asking the citizens to bear up additional tax increases to fund different things. I think that transparency, and consistency really needs to be considered and how you appropriate the funds. So that was a question that some people had of me and that I have of you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any more comments on agenda items only, please? Okay. If not, we'll close our comment session and we'll move on to the first item on the agenda, which is unfinished business.
No, we don't have to.
No, not this one.
No, we've already been through
The only thing James pointed out, it needs to be assigned a definite source of funding because it is an unbudgeted item.
The source of the funding would be the general fund.
Is that appropriate, Mr. Stewart?
I mean, I would say with the general fund being in a deficit, that could be the appropriate source of funding, because it already has a negative balance.
No, I understand that.
got $640,000 capital improvement.
You can't use cap funds for that.
Mr. President, have a comment?
Please.
I bring up the general fund as a funding source because that's what we have talked about as potential for funding some of these other festivals. Aware of the deficit, not a fan by any means. But as far as, we do not have a fund specifically for festivals. We can't use things like gas tax for it or cap improvements. So there's, other than general fund, there is not necessarily a funding source for it that I can come up with.
Thank you. Councilor London, did you have a comment before we call the vote?
Yeah, I'm kind of a guy of consistency, and we haven't, like Brother Washington said, we haven't funded educational fund. I personally, I know it's in a deficit, decided to take the Jazz in the Park funding off, personally, because I knew where we were. And Jazz in the Park was a great event for the city of Irondale. And we turned down Spring Fest, and Spring Fest was it ran up to $8,000. We didn't have to give Spring Fest $8,000. We could have gave them $500, and we turned it down totally. And now we're back here with an unbudgeted item, and we're in a deficit, and we're trying to fund something else that we've already turned down multiple things.
Thank you. Would someone like to put it on the form of motion?
I move for the adoption of Resolution 2018 R15 appropriating funding for the Whistle Stop Festival in the amount of $7,000.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilor London?
No.
Councilor Spivey?
Yes.
Councilor Bearden?
Yes.
Myself, no. So from a standpoint, what does that do to us at this point?
The motion failed.
Motion failed. Thank you very much. We'll move on to new business. First order of business is Resolution 2018-R17, and I would accept a motion on that.
Make a motion that ordinance, that resolution 2018-R17 be considered read.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Make a motion that all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration and adoption of resolution 2018-R17 be suspended and the unanimous consent be given for immediate consideration of said ordinance.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Councilor London.
Yes.
Councilor Spivey.
Yes.
Councilor Beard.
Yes.
Myself, yes.
I make a motion that resolution number 2018-R17 be finally passed and adopted as introduced.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, item number 2. And remember, on this particular item, we are not authorizing the agreement at this point. We're authorizing the mayor to move forward, to negotiate, and to come back with us with a final contract, but this keeps everything going forward. And I would accept a motion from the floor. We've got 2 representatives here if you had some questions. Would you like to ask your questions first?
That's all, I just want
Oh,
to,
please.
I just want to say hello. Hey. That's all. Just put a face with, just want to put a face with what we're talking about. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's Mark and Austin.
Thank you.
Would somebody like to put that motion on the floor?
Mark?
Make a motion that, resolution 2018-R18 be approved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, motion carried. Now we'll open up the floor for public comments to the council on general items. Some of you have already handed in your paperwork up front, but please, if you come up to speak, do bring forward one of the completed forms before you come forward and hand it to the city clerk. And remember, your limit of time is 3 minutes on your conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Robert Box, 6216 Ransom Road, Irondale, Alabama. I'm the president of the board of Mountain Lake Estates. We are a group of residents and homeowners that live on a 40-acre lake off of Ransom Road. I'm not here in that capacity tonight. Tonight I'm coming as a concerned citizen. Recently we received a letter from the mayor that announced that some of our services might be suspended or modified, i.e. fire, ambulance, and garbage pickup. Now, my understanding of the letter only says that they're going to be modified slightly until we can have our bridges inspected, because it is a private road, and have a load-bearing limit established for 2 of the bridges. We have the load limit established for 1. It is not registered with the state at this point. Back when we were annexed into the city, we were ensured that none of this would be a problem. The mayor at that time had sent an engineer to look at our bridges, and the city would have no issues whatsoever with providing fire, ambulance, police, and garbage service. Since that time, some of the city employees have raised some safety concerns, and we definitely respect the mayor's opinion of trying to keep the city's equipment and personnel safe. We also know that the mayor, especially since we're looking at possibly trying to raise property taxes, respects the safety and concerns of his citizens in the city that provide those revenue streams that allow us to have city equipment and employees for the city. What I'm asking tonight is if the mayor will qualify for some of our residents that are afraid that our fire and ambulance and garbage service is going to be done away with. I'm asking him to qualify and clarify that to us tonight, to tell us exactly what he needs. Thank you.
Do you care to comment?
No.
To
Mr. Box, get here where I can. Mr. Box outlined it, I think, perfectly, or exactly as we intended in the letter. It was never said nor intended that we would not provide services. What we said in the letter, in a general sense, is that those services would have to be modified until such time that we had assurance that those bridges were safe for us to take the equipment over them. The equipment meaning the large garbage truck, the fire engines, those sorts of things. The letter did state what service would be provided. We're continuing what we do right now, just to give you an example, we have to send a separate small pickup type truck in to pick up garbage for this establishment because we're not comfortable running the garbage trucks on there. They use that transfer truck, take it, and then offload it onto a garbage truck. And as you might expect, that's not a efficient use of city resources. That's just one issue. The bigger issue was with the fire trucks, the concern about the weight of the bridges there. And I had, independently of each other, I had 3 of our top level fire department personnel over the last 2 months raise that as an issue, which was the first that was brought to my attention, that there were some safety concerns there. And so that's all that we're requesting, looking for is, and I think this is not a new request. I think you've received requests in the past, previous administration's letters or whatever, asking about the weight limits on bridges.
We had received requests on that, and we asked the mayor, could he have a city engineer come look at it, and the former mayor said yes, absolutely, and engaged an individual that we believed was a city engineer, but obviously may have just been a consultant. And he gave that mayor and the department heads the opinion that our bridges would be at about a 20-ton weight limit. And so we actually posted the 20-ton weight limit on the one bridge we had repaired. However, we have lawyers and engineers and a lot of people living out at the lake right now. None of us happen to be certified bridge inspectors. That's a challenge for us, but we are pursuing the bridge inspector. Once that bridge inspection is done, we will either note that, okay, we have a great weight limit and we can just present that to you and move forward, or if we have to make repairs. That was the other concern, was that the April the 2nd deadline would not give us enough time if we had to make some repairs to go through a funding process of possibly replacing a $200,000 bridge. So many of our residents were afraid that they're going to die in their bed because the ambulance won't come, their house is going to burn down because the little truck won't come. And of course what's happened heretofore is the little truck would be brought in, and we understand that the chief believes that that would not be an adequate response should a house be totally engulfed. But hopefully, if a house is totally engulfed, we're not sure a big truck is an adequate response. So at that point, as long as we're still receiving that service, we should be fine. And we can just get with you to get an extension, and just to make sure and reassure the other residents out there that our services are not being suspended or done away with. Really, the only thing I saw from the letter being modified was the garbage service asking that the trash be brought to the triangle. But at this point in time, if we come back with the bridge inspection and the 20-ton weight limit is fine, or actually, as recent as July, we've had about 10 tandem axle concrete trucks coming through with between 5 and 7 pounds or yards of concrete on, which well exceeds any of the city's vehicles in weight. And the bridge is held up fine.
Right.
So Mayor Alexander had just continued to give us an approval. He never put the requirement on us that you brought to us, and we respect the requirement for the safety of the city's vehicles.
Right, yeah, once it's brought to our attention, we have no recourse but to elevate it to that level of
Right.
having to verify. And I think, well, I won't speculate, but on whoever gave the opinion, it certainly was not a certified opinion, from a bridge inspector. It might have been someone that just went by and looked at it, so I think it's okay. So we do continue, what we've been providing is the brush truck, which is the small pickup truck with water mounted on the back. And that was the point that, if a house is fully engulfed or you have a significant fire, that truck is not adequate to fight a real house fire. So that was our concern, that was our, we have liability. Regardless of what trucks have driven over the bridges successfully, it only takes one time. If we do that and we destroy the bridge, then there will be the dispute about why you have your heavy truck on our bridge. And from the staff standpoint, they don't want to be the driver driving the truck that falls in the creek or whatever underneath the bridge. So I think our letter, I apologize if you had some folks that misinterpreted the intent of the letter. You and I have talked several times, and I think we're on the same page. I don't know what else I can do. I'd be happy to do whatever I can. The letter even offered to meet with your neighbors, as a group.
Yes.
We extended that offer to you all as well. Each of the individual, the residences out there got a certified letter, as well as and I don't know if you call it an association or a corporation or whatever, since it's private. I know it's not a homeowners association. Well, how do you refer to it?
It's basically a corporation.
Okay, so your corporation got public.
But we are a non-income generating corporation of landowners, in that we all own stock in the land that is around the lake that is undeveloped. The only thing really, the other people had wished to hear, Mr. Mayor, was that you would definitely, and you've already assured this to me on a personal phone call, but we wanted to have that in public, that you would work with us on that April the 2nd deadline, since we're presenting to you an intended plan of action.
Yeah, and that's precisely what we were looking for, is for you all to be making reasonable progress to having those bridges inspected. We realize that may take a little longer than 30 days. As long as that is happening, we have every intent of continuing as we are, or as we stated in the letter of how we would continue there. We'll continue with the rather odd arrangement of picking up the garbage. We will continue with the brush truck being the one that responds to that. We will not drive our heavy vehicle over that at this point. But our important point was, we wanted all the residents there to recognize those limitations, which is why everyone got a letter.
Yes, sir.
We didn't want anyone there suspecting that they were getting the full complement of service from the city, when in fact they were not.
Yes, sir.
And so that was the intent of the win overall. I'd be happy to address any more specific questions.
As we move forward, we'll definitely have a board meeting, and we'll probably call a stockholders meeting that we would love for any of the council members or yourself to come to.
Right. And I understand that we want to talk about the bridges, but I understand from some of your members that even if there have been some issues with the trees. The road is, this is a private, you have to understand for the council's benefit, this is a totally private development, okay, what we're talking about. So the city will not do work on private property. The road is very narrow. I think someone said in some places less than 10 feet wide. It's one way around the lake. And I think there are some issues maybe with some trees maybe hanging over the.
We try to keep those addressed with either a lawn maintenance contractor or when we have work days. We try to keep those above 14 feet.
And someone had mentioned to me, speaking of the narrowness of the road, something about a rock cliff that encroaches.
There is one area of the road that's where the narrowest part is, and it is probably, I think, 10 foot 8 inches or something like that. Now, I know that when we were very first annexed, the big truck made it through there. It was close, but he did come through and make it through. Which does bring another issue. Ransom Road actually begins where our private property lines state. Is that accurate, Luther?
Just start at the gate? Or
No, not at the gate. It's a little bit further toward Queenstown Road. We have two signs there that says private property gate closed.
Right.
But the pavement from there to Queenstown Road is the city of Irondale and is almost completely degraded. I've asked in the past, probably 2 to 3 years, once a year, that we have that the city could get out there and look at paving that for us. So that wasn't my intent tonight, but mentioning the pavement kind of.
And actually on that note, the Queenstown Road you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Queenstown Road is a road, we're in the process of finalizing negotiation with the county on taking back over roads that they formerly have maintained and quit maintaining. And I believe from memory that is one that the county is to take over. I think they've done some paving out in that area.
The county has come to the railroad tracks right there.
Right, and they're waiting on finalizing their agreement to go further than that on the Irondale.
And so the only thing we would ask is that, I needed to actually find that, I was intending on doing it later this week, but we would ask that the council approve or the county, get with the county to get that intersection of Queenstown and Ransom paved up to our private property signs. We have maintained our road and paved it 5 years ago? 10 years ago.
So let me just remind you once more, that is a road that the county has taken over, is taking over. They're only waiting on the signature now for the Irondale portion. I mean, we're waiting on them to bring the agreement back to us. We will sign that, basically say it's the county's responsibility. Then I expect they will continue that paving from where they stopped at the railroad track on.
But Charles, I think what he's talking about is from Queenstown Road to where their road starts. It's about, what, 200 yards?
Maybe, yeah.
Between Queen.
About 200 feet.
Okay, 200 feet.
Again, that's the county.
City's property.
In the past, you are correct, Mr. Mayor, we had been told that that was county property, it's Irondale property, so that was the bounce back and forth. So if we have now ascertained that it is county paving, then we can, hopefully, it'll all get done here.
We should soon have a written agreement on that. Once we have that in hand, we can let you know for sure, but I'm saying that is the way that is headed.
Very good. And I appreciate your time and reassurances on our service continue.
Well, and just for the rest of you who are from that neighborhood, it is not our intent to cut out service. We just have to make sure that it's safe service that we're providing to you. We will continue working, and we recognize that if you have the bridge inspected and you have to have some repairs, that's not going to happen in 30 days, and we will just continue to work with you in a reasonable manner to give you time to get that done.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Any more general comments from the audience? Please.
I'm Mike McMahon. I live on.
If you'll address the council, please. Thank you.
Hello, council. Mike McMahon. I live on Ransom Road with Mr. Box. And I've been out there about 15 years. And when Irondale annexed to this area about 12 years ago. It was annexed because of the dissolution of the East Jefferson Fire District. We had to have fire service, so we came into Irondale. Now, I have communicated with the Irondale Public Works regarding some complaints I had about the fact that they drive by my house and leave my garbage sitting in the can at the street. I had a pile of brush that me, 65-year-old, stacks up by the road, they drive by and leave it. I called Public Works and I talked to the secretary and she says, I'll get back with you. I called back a week later and I said, I didn't hear back. I want to talk to the supervisor. Well, he's in lunch. Well, he called me back and I spoke with him, and it was news to him that we had problems with employees of Irondale sleeping on the property in their big trucks, not picking up the trash. It was news to him. It appears to me there's a communications issue between whoever answers the phone and who talks to Public Works. When I talked to Public Works, I asked him about the paving on Queenstown Road, which stopped at the railroad track. And Irondale, I'm told, owns from that railroad track past the intersection of Ransom Road, and then it becomes Birmingham. And I asked about getting it paved, and I was told by Jefferson County, the man paving it said the holdup was at the mayor's office. They're trying to get a through roads agreement with Irondale. Now you say something else. What's the story on that?
No, that's exactly what I just said, that we've been working on the agreement. What you just said, that I said, was exactly what I did say.
What he told me was, we are trying to get it done while we have our equipment out here, and the paperwork ain't getting through Irondale.
It wasn't a paperwork issue, it was an agreement issue.
A through roads agreement.
A through roads agreement.
Okay, and what is the problem?
We're now waiting for the county to get it through commission. There was a negotiation of who was going to be responsible for the streets. And once we agreed on those in principle, then it goes back to the county commission. The county commission will either approve it or not approve it based off those negotiations. And then they will send it to Irondale and we will sign off on it.
Okay. Well, I travel Queenstown Road frequently, and there are at least 3 sections where the road has been eroded from rainwater. That is, there's a white line on the side of the road. The pavement is gone. All right? One of them is in Irondale, 2 of them are in Birmingham. Had they repaved it, they might have taken care of it. But there are 3 hazardous locations on Queenstown Road. It's not well lit. I know the road, but if you run off in the ditch, you hit a 6-foot ditch, you're in trouble. And I request or ask you to have someone, y'all put some rock on the side of the road and put a low shoulder sign up about 5 years ago. The rock has subsided, okay? And the white line still isn't there.
So maybe you misunderstood what I was saying earlier with Mr. Vox, and to you, that is a county road that is maintained by the Jefferson County, not the city of Irondale.
Okay.
So that's, to answer your question, that's why we have not repaid.
Okay, so where do we stand on the True Road Agreement? Is it done now? This is a couple of months ago, I
Sir, I
thought.
think he's already addressed that, and you've passed your 3-minute limit, but let me comment. Your county commissioner, Joe Knight, was here 2 meetings ago. That was the first time that was presented in any format to the council, so it was the first time we had any inkling that it was coming forward. It has gone back to the county, and until they get it back to the mayor and he brings it to us for execution, we can't move forward on anything, because we're in a limbo right now.
Well, he says about the same thing you do, so I don't know where the
But
communication.
Councilor Knight is right here, and you're welcome to watch. YouTube has a nice video of that you're welcome to watch and see what happened during that meeting.
YouTube has video of what meeting?
What goes on in this meeting, that's what the gentleman in back does every time. You can go back to that day. Thank you very much. Mr. Bishop?
Ron Bishop, 1916 2nd Avenue South. Mr. Stewart, if the citizens were able to raise the $3,500 for the in-kind services, could we give that to the city to pay for those services?
I'm going to defer to.
So, talking about the citizens of Irondale?
Yes, if I gave you a check for $3,500, could the city pay for the in-kind services that are required for Whistle Stop?
You could present it to the council and ask that the council accept it and use that money for that particular purpose.
You don't accept?
Still be a council decision.
Still be a council decision.
At this point, it's up to Steve and John. They voted in They voted no, they.
That was for your ordinance, that was for your
Just
ordinance we had. If I came to you with a check for $3,500 saying that we want to give this to the city to cover the in-kind services, would y'all pass that? No?
I'm a yes, I mean,
You wouldn't,
I'm still a
even as
yes.
citizens, citizens, this is not coming out of public funds. This is
Personally, I
citizens.
would, David apparently would, you got to talk to Steve.
I'll make no comment till the vote comes up, but I have no problem with
Before
the
the council again.
private donation coming to the council earmarked for something if that's legal.
I think that we could definitely, I mean, I would request that you let us know that this is going to happen before the meeting that it happens.
Oh, definitely,
Make sure to
yes.
put it together in a way that is legal, that assuming that we have, you know, an opportunity to do that, I can't think of why we couldn't put it together in a way that could be presented to the council. It would not have to be brought up by any particular council member because it would be a new
Be a
action.
new one, okay.
Okay, it wouldn't be a
Let-
reconsideration of this.
Yeah.
This would be a new action to pretty much receive and accept this donation from the individuals or from the.
Let me explain what I was just trying to do. David and I voted for it, John and Steve voted against it, it failed.
It's fine.
We can't bring it, David and I can't bring it back before the council, only those that voted against it can, because the measure fails.
Terry, this would be a
If it
totally
passed-
different, this would be a totally
Yeah,
different
but-
issue.
But that's, I just want to explain.
No, it would be a
what
different
I-
issue.
what
It
I-
would be an open to all the council again.
Yeah. yeah.
It doesn't matter who brings it up, because it's not related to approving expenditures by the city. It's to accept monies that would be a pass-through for a specific use.
Could they not just give it?
So you could bring it
No,
up,
because
they
this is
could bring it
what
up.
501c3 and then ask the city
We're
to.
talking about the
fund
in-kind
rent.
services here, we're not talking about
Right,
Oh, okay.
$3,500 for the insurance policy. We're
Right.
talking about the $3,500
for the
that would be
in-kind.
required for this police and public works and stuff, for the city to cover.
It'd just be a matter of the city accepting it.
And Ms.
I
Stewart-
guess what Mr. Bishop is also asking though, if they gave that, would the city be willing to put in the $3,500 for the in-kind services? So that would be a,
Well, basically, we're paying for the in-kind services. We would
Right.
give $3,500 to the city.
It's a
and that would
designated
cover the
donation
in-kind
to,
services.
I would suggest that it would need to come in as one action, one item, to receive this donation and to commit that this donation, the funds from this would be utilized in this particular manner. And that way you wouldn't run the risk of receiving the donation and in a separate action, the
Do something
money not
else
be
with it.
utilized the
Right.
way it was requested. That, again, it could be brought by any council member. Again, just give me as much notice ahead of whatever meeting might be upcoming that we can do this. And we can try to put it together in a way that I believe would pass legal muster, and then it's just a matter of whether the council chooses.
Would accept or not
to
accept.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Ron, I know there's a sympathetic not-for-profit that would probably help with that.
well, one question I just brought up, if they can give that money to the city, why don't they just pay directly for those services? And then we don't have to get into, can they do it, if they can't do it?
And that
you would
occurred to me
just
as well.
pay that directly to
That was
the,
my question.
you just pay it, and then that would pretty much kind of take care of itself.
Because I know that members of the police department at least, you know, do moonlighting, so to speak, is my word for it. That they, you know, that may be an option, that they could collect that money
But
and
this-
hire those individuals to do that work directly, and that way it takes this consideration out of the equation. I'd say let's continue to talk about it. I mean, if you feel like y'all are gonna be able to do that, then let's have an open line of communication.
What would be the
We can
best
try to
way to
make
get
sure
it
that-
dispersed?
Yeah, the police, hiring the police as off-duty officers and stuff is not really an issue. That can be done easily. It's the public works and the other things that the city would have to put together, basically a bill for it. And, you know, and what the in-kind services that have typically been covered, you know, is that just the overtime and whatever else that it takes for the Whistle Stop Festival and
Could
the
not,
public
could not
works
the
to do the
festival
cleanup and
hire
stuff.
the people to take care of the garbage and pick up the trash?
I don't know that they have the ability to hire city workers to do that, but they, I mean, there certainly are services that could be utilized, I would think that they could contract with.
Just some questions that probably need to be answered between now and time, but I think there would be a way to work that out so that it could be utilized if it were available. Especially since it's coming from public funding, not from city funding. Any more?
Ron, that's awesome, thank you for doing that. And could we do that also for the other ones? So if private individuals came for Jasmine Park Spring Fest and wanted to help pay for the city to be able to use police officers. So
That's always been mentioned as a possibility to raise those funds, and the City Fest actually raised some significant funds the previous year, they just didn't raise the full amount. And those went directly to the City Fest, they didn't pass through the city. As far as I know, you handle the funds, I guess they were turned over to the city clerk, weren't they?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments in general? Yes, ma'am.
Connie Webb, 2000 Mountain Road. Didn't Joe Knight tell, when he was here that night, that he would give $3,000 out of his discretionary fund for Springfest?
For Spring Fest.
Is that not something that we can go back to Joe Knight and add to what he's talking about?
You could be.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that back up because I remember him standing up and saying that he would give $3,000 out of his fund.
Mhm.
So why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been kind of mulling over the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from you? Teresa? Thank you.
First timer. My name's Steve Johnson. I have a business on Ruffner Court. I'm becoming involved in the community and trying to connect industry with education. And in the automotive industry, obviously we all know many automobile manufacturers are supported dealers in the area. The numbers from the Department of Labor are astronomical, and they just boil down to how many students can go into industry right here in Irondale, and obviously the economic impact that would have. The schools working through some issues, and they've come up with a plan to have a full-time automotive instructor, which has just happened, and but the facility that they're working in is very challenged, and I'm made aware that the city owns that, and there's some things. I was in a meeting with.
What property are you talking about now?
I think it's called Dabs.
Yeah, okay.
And I was in a meeting with the education department, and they said that there are, we need things that are, since the city owns that particular facility, there are things in that facility that need to be repaired on and are slowing down the education process from the students in there, like the doors won't roll up. Infrastructure things need to be repaired. And I'm wondering how we go ahead and facilitate that particular situation, those line items. We did an evaluation, the accreditation, ASE, always up with that. They came in, they did an evaluation along with the team leader and industry. They evaluated 58 things, and some of the things on there are not school issues, they're infrastructure issues.
And that's something we'd have to look at the contract or the lease and see who's responsible for repairs on the building, because the lease would tell us whether the city's responsible or the renter, or the student.
If the city is responsible, is that, since it is infrastructure, is that cap fund type of deal?
I mean, if the city's responsible.
Right, exactly. So, you know, if we can determine that, there might be a way, if the city is responsible, there might be a funding source for those type of improvements.
What would you suggest be my next course to schedule?
Get with the city clerk and get a copy of the contract and see what it says.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Do you guys have each other's contact information?
I know where Mr. Steve is, yeah, he left his information up here, so. I mean, to be honest with you, it would take some research for that Dabbs property, because that was a part of when the city purchased the land for the hospital.
Yeah. I
So
figured
all
it
of that
was
is kind
a
of
piece of that.
tied in together. We don't know exactly how it is, so what I'll do, I'll retrieve the documents and give them to Leslie, let her review it, and then we can go from there.
So just to be clear, that hasn't been done to this. I've been getting one story, and I thought, wow, this would be a great way to get a different story. So that hasn't even been looked at?
I haven't received anything to look at.
I haven't looked at anything either, but I think, James, you may have more insight on this. I think what you're gonna find is the city owns the property. I don't think the city's ever funded the building or repairs on the building, or, you know, that's been a school use, school-funded project in terms of their use of it. You talked about a lease, I'm not aware of a lease. I mean, there may be an agreement for them to use it, but we get no funding off of any lease or anything, so.
Yeah, that property was kind of thrown in when the city, it had some kind of funny law that was tied to how the city could get that property.
Like 100 years ago or something.
Right, and it was kind of just thrown into to the mix, but I feel like the city left the land with the county. Basically, the Jefferson County Board of Education is kind of responsible for the building, even though we may have the land. And then there's a 2022 option on it that the hospital can actually gobble up all of it. So, but I would just, before I speculate anymore, let me get the documents and get them to Leslie.
Well, if I may, I had a meeting with the superintendent, Dr. Pouncey, and I kind of feel like what I'm hearing is that there's a possibility that might be over there. I spoke to the man in a meeting with people, and he said that, as I recall, it's not his, it's not.
Well, I think at this point, we could go back and forth, but I think we put the onus on the mayor and our council to follow up and get the information, so we'll be knowing what we're really talking about rather than speculate and who's talked to who. We've had a lot of that tonight. We need to get our facts straight, come back with good information and go forward from there. I'm not trying to cut you off, but it doesn't serve any purpose to keep going back and forth on who said what. You put the challenge on the table.
Okay.
We need to take it forward.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Any other comments from the audience? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you very much.